Hello everyone, this is CounterYolo, bringing you another video talking about Star Trek Online. And in today's video, I'm going to go over the best value Starship packs inside of the game. I was going to go over a different subject today, but due to me kind of being out of it for the past 7 years when it comes to Black Friday stuff, I forgot about Black Friday here in the United States. Because of Black Friday, there's some insane sales going on right now in Star Trek Online, and so because a lot of you might be using Zen to get some cool things in the game, I thought that I would put my 2 cents into what stuff is probably the best if you're going for a lot of the higher price things off of the C-store. I'll first cover my upcoming science content for the next 2 videos, my biases in this list, and then go over the top 5 Starship packs. Feel free to say time links in the video to jump to the different spots in this video as you so choose. So first off, the last 2 videos of this month is going to be all about science. Because of this video, my exotic weapons video got pushed to Sunday, and I'll be talking about weapons that scale off of exotic damage and radiation damage. Because some of them operate a little bit weird than the other types inside the game, so I have a cool video that I've been banging my head against the wall trying to figure out those weapons inside the game. So I'm probably going to still get them wrong. A lot of you in the comments will definitely correct me on the stuff that I get wrong. But what I've been testing is a lot of cool things in the game just because a lot of the stuff on the STO wiki is wrong when it comes to these weapons. Just like the STO wiki is wrong in a lot of things when it comes to command abilities for a lot of the Klingon ships. Anyway. And then next Thursday, I'll go over my science tanking stuff inside the game. I will at least show some screenshots and things and how the things work for my Fleet Tier 6 Narendra Cruiser, as well as my Tier 6 Science Miracle Worker Cruiser. I'll show them both off with my my female Romulan science captain inside the game. Because she's a Romulan captain, if I can get the testing done in time, I might even show off my Battle Cloak Romulan science tank as well. It just depends upon, with my testing with Tier 6 reputation stuff, which I just got today, just depends on how that testing goes, as if I get the time to be able to test it on my ship that I really like to use for Battlecloak tanking. Alrighty, so let's go ahead and get started. For my biases and Starship packs, we get into this list. Because we're buying it from the C-store, I'm asking first off, is it a Tier 6 ship? If it's not, I'm not including it in this list. I will reference some Tier 5 consoles, but I will not be including any Tier 5 starships in this list. Also, does it have a Fleet Tier 6 variant? If so, the value of the cost of buying that Tier 6 ship off of the C-store becomes dramatically reduced, because there are a lot of C-store ships that cost 3,000 Zen. Most of them do, but some of them have a Fleet Tier 6 version and some of them don't. So the ones that don't already have basically the Fleet Tier 6 variant level of stats and consoles on the ship already, while the ones that do have a Fleet Tier 6 variant, you have to get a fleet module and some fleet credits and have the appropriate fleet military in order to get that fleet variant. It's a little bit of headache, and so unless it's a particular Starship Trader console that's actually used on all ships or in that specific ship, that value of that specific ship off of the C-store is dramatically reduced as well. Also, lastly, because of course I'm a tank captain inside the game, I will be having a strong bias towards ships that can more easily tank inside the game. And then of course I'll do, after the raw ships themselves, the strength of consoles and then traits in terms of how the order of this ship list went. Before I get into the list, I'll just very quickly go over that there's other stuff in the C-store besides just ships. If you're going to buy anything off of the exchange, I highly recommend getting the energy credit increase, especially during the sale right now. Having 15 million credits potentially versus having 2 billion energy credits potentially to buy off the exchange is a very big difference. Of course, you still need to get the energy credits through other means. My recommendation is, whenever they release them again, to get the promotion R&D packs off of the C-store and wait for the 30% off during that period typically most of the time whenever they offer a promotion R&D pack, typically they'll have, whether it's a flash sale or a 2-day sale during that period, where you're able to get them for much cheaper. Buy them with the 1,000 Zen per 4 price, or if you can get these off of sale as well, potentially 30% off is what you want. You're able to get a lot of Zen for EC value, which is the highest you can really get versus anything else off of the C-store that you're trying to sell. That's just me. There's other stuff here too, like account-based slots, which you can actually bypass because you can use the in-game mail system instead of an account bank, because you actually can send bound to account stuff through in-game mail to yourself. Fun fact for you all. There's other stuff like character-based slots, inventory slots, and duty officer slots that are there for convenience. It's not really needed. Bridge officer slots aren't really needed at all, especially for a lot of you that only care about space. You will have enough bridge officer slots to get your potentially 9 bridge officers for space. Now, if you want space and ground, you might need to get potentially spend 500 Zen to get 4 more bridge officer slots for ground combat. Outside of that, not really other stuff really they need to worry about. My number 5 for all these is the Command Battlecruisers Bundle. It's not that per se command abilities are bad. Command abilities are great. Command abilities are really good for torpedo builds, and they have some nice nullifying effects as well. There's a couple really good ones in there too. I've talked about it in comments previously, and I'll probably talk about them again later when I finally go over a command battlecruiser tank inside the game. But when it comes to the ones from the C-store, they're very limiting when it comes down to it. The tactical variant is the best one of the 3 by far. It has the most, well, it's tied for the highest tactical consoles, and it has a trait of all hands on deck, which is pretty valuable. Science ones aren't bad, but just they're not as strong as the tactical version. I will give an emphasis here. The Star Trek Online wiki is wrong when it comes to the command, or sorry, the command track fire for these ships. The Star Trek Online wiki claims that command track fire is not on these ships. They are. You have shield frequency remodulation and command track fire for all of your Klingon ships and for your Federation ships. I don't know why the Star Trek Online wiki is wrong in this aspect, but it's wrong. Outside of this stuff too, if you happen to have the Cabali ship and the Cabali console, if you add that console to one of the unique consoles from these cruisers, you can have the 2-piece set bonus of a little bit more energy damage resistance and turn rate. Not super insanely impressive, but it's something. Alright, so now for number 4, it's the Tier 6 Flagship Bundle. If you want to be a Battlecloak Science tank, this is the bundle to get. In fact, if you want to be a Science tank, this one or getting the Science variant of the Odyssey cruiser is also really good too. Obviously, I have a strong bias for Drama Republic here. Sorry, but they're very, very good. They're very, very good ships. All 3 of them are very good for DPS. The Science one is extremely good for Science tanking. You have Battlecloak on it. It meets my regular tank thresholds, not just my Science tank thresholds, but my regular tank threshold, which is impressive. You can also use the Tier 5 flagship consoles on this too, so that whenever you need to get threat off of you, you can cloak, still have your shields up, and fire everything. Plus, all you lose is 5 weapon power, which means that doesn't really affect you too much. As a Science tank either, because you're just using torpedoes and exotic damage. Also, the Science variants of all 3 of them have a trait called Checkmate, which I've talked about before in the strongest C-store traits in the game. And that using gravity well and stuff like that will give you extra projectile and exotic damage, which is really good for any Science tank out there. Alongside that, the Federation variant is an extremely strong science tank as well. It has a command-distract fire, it has proper bridge option seats, and it also has sensor analysis, which is very weird. This one and the KD version are the only cruisers in the game, cruiser and battlecruiser, that has sensor analysis. It's really, 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 really weird. It also makes these an extremely niche and very good ships as well. Just saying. The KDF version, because it doesn't have proper bridge option seats and consoles, it's better as a broadside tank, but it still has sensor analysis. The Federation version can only really be a science tank because it only has 2 tactical consoles. Just saying. The tactical engineering variant are okay for broadsiding, not that great though. Just saying. The engineering variant, the only thing really super good on it is the adaptive emergency systems, which used to be good. With other consoles that have been released in the game and other power creep that's come out as a result, this stuff isn't as powerful as it used to be. When this initially came out, a lot of people were using scimitars and basically getting their health really low and doing a lot of extra damage. Nowadays, it's not quite as needed, and with other stuff in the game, yeah, there's other things going on too. Basically, the Flagship Bundle is really good. It's especially good for science tanking, but it's decently good for other things too, which is why it's number 4. My number 3 is the America Worker Bundle. I'm actually surprised when I was going through this list realizing that this was only number 3, but whenever you look at the top 2, you'll probably understand why this is actually ranked so low. But I, as a pure tank player, I value this group highly. Same thing, it's 6,000 Zen for one of the packs, or 12,000 for all 3. You really basically, if you get the Mega Bundle, you basically just get the Ramda one for free. It's really kind of what it basically just boils down to. And obviously, these are non-sale prices. They're all cheaper right now. But when we look at the strengths of these, they are very strong KDF and Federation cruisers. The Klingon versions are stronger than the Federation versions. So this is like the only case in which that's really the case. Most of the time, the Klingon version is slightly inferior in some way or another to the Federation version. Not the case here. And also, in my opinion, the Klingon version is a little bit cooler, but that's just me. The Science Worker Cruiser is insanely good. It has a really strong broadsiding cruiser type of playstyle, which Darkblade is currently using right now. It also is extremely strong as a science or support cruiser, which you will see next week on how that science cruiser works and how that build works. There's also the Tactical Worker Cruiser, which is a strong broadside cruiser because it has 4 tactical consoles plus the universal console, just like the science variant has 4 science consoles plus the universal to make it allowed to have 5. So like they're both really good for science or tactical. The tactical one here, alongside it being good for broadsiding, it has a console called Crimson Force Field. This is the most powerful console in the entire game to kill tanks. For 12 seconds, suppose within the forward firing arc, you stop passive regeneration, you stop projectile weapons, you decrease 50% of all outgoing damage that's not projectiles, so exotic and energy damage is going to be included here, as well as any consoles, and healing that's coming in, whether it's through the ship or through other ships trying to heal it, is halved as well. Have you been trying to kill this really annoying Vodwar foe? Have you been trying to kill a Zenkethi like capital ship? Use Crimson Force Field on it with your allies. Healing is reduced significantly. Regeneration is stopped. It can't use projectile weapons. It's a really powerful console. Combine that with a trait called Redirection Arrays that a lot of tanks really like as well, in that you can make your 15-second duration beamfire will actually last 30 seconds, and the use plus cooldown duration is 30 seconds. So it basically means that you can have almost infinitely going beamfire will with just one a fireable ability. It is pretty powerful. There, because I'm very much in the, I wanted to be able to survive as well as possible. It's really hard for me personally to justify having redirecting rays on there, but it is a good trait. My number 2 is the Cardassian bundle. Not as much for the escort/raider, but for the other two. 6,000 Zen for this pack, or 13,000 if you're getting the Gamma Vanguard gigantic pack, not the starter pack, but the big pack. I actually got these through that big pack on both my accounts because I wanted to try out the Jem'Hadar bridge officers, which are good bridge officers if you're not a Romulan captain. They basically are very close to basically having 3 more SROs on your starship if you're not a Romulan captain. But anyway, biggest strength of this pack, honestly, is the Cardassian Intel Science Dreadnought. This is the only Dreadnought that is available from the C-Store, and there's none available from the fleet. So basically, if you want a Science Dreadnought and you don't want to go to the exchange to get a Science Dreadnought or Science Vanguard off of the exchange, this is your only option for a ship that's a bit more durable inside of the game. I'd either this or going with a science/support cruiser, frankly. Alongside that, we have the Cardassian Intel Flight Deck Assault Cruiser, which is the only 5.3 cruiser that has command attract fire that isn't a cruiser that has a fleet tier 6 variant with it. My favorite 5.3 cruiser with tracked fire is one off of the fleet. If you're wanting one that's just straight right off the back from the C-Store, that is really good. This is the one to go for. It also has a trait called Calm Before the Storm, which basically gives you firing cycle haste and bridge officer recharge time half of the time on your ship, which is decent. I personally like to control when I have my firing cycle haste or just have some passive firing cycle haste, but that's just me. Alongside that, the 2-piece set gives you extra firing cycle haste and weapon power cost reduction if you have 2 of the consoles. I don't personally feel that the consoles are that great, but the consoles can be put onto any starship, and any starship can receive these set bonuses from those consoles. So it is definitely something. Not super spectacular, but it's something. And I'm not including the Raider here because it doesn't have really spectacular stats on it personally. Alright, so for my honorable mention, I have to mention the Multi-Mission Explorers Bundle. This is one of the older bundles. It's cool. I'm not saying that these aren't bad. It's just that for your value that you're getting out of them isn't that much, to be honest. Especially versus my number 1. You're not getting a lot of value out of these starships. It's really built. These guys are basically based around the Tier 5 version of the multi-mission explorers from the Federation ships. You can put those consoles on this guy. That's cool, but you know, it's just Tier 5 consoles. The Romulan versions have battle cloaks for tanking as well, but they don't have super high stats, so that's still a problem. The only really good thing off of this is that the Science Explorer variants have this console called Radiation Bombardment Matrix, which gives you exotic damage and a cone AoE radiation damage stuff with some extra procs. This looks great on the surface, but you have to keep in mind that other science ships can also get something else off of the exchange for relatively cheaply. That's pretty similar, which is called the Delphic Tier Generator. And this one also has bonus exotic damage, and it also has a cone radiation attack as well, clicky off of it. Now this one has some weird procs on it because of some skills and traits that I have on my own starship, but this guy, in my opinion, is just about as powerful as this guy, and this one's available on all starships, while this one's only available on the Multi-Mission Explorer variants. So unless you're trying to stack up a zillion amount of consoles to add exotic damage, and you feel like you really need to work around this console, these guys aren't particularly strong in my opinion. Alright, so let's get to our number one, which is the 31st Century Temporal Ship Bundle. For those of you that are familiar with the game, I don't think it'd be a surprise that this isn't the number one. Especially for Klingon captains, you'll notice that in the endgame, a lot of Klingon captains use these starships, frankly. Like, for a lot of Klingon captains that aren't the super aggressive types, will often use the Temporal Science Vessel or the Temporal Dreadnought Cruiser, because there are very few stuff available for science and tanking inside the game. And this one is available to everyone. Federation, KDF, and Romulan Republic. This set's more built around the Temporal Science Vessel, personally, but all three ships are good. None of them are super spectacular, but all three of them are very good, which is why this is a very highly valuable ship bundle in the first place. The Temporal Science Vessel, on its own for its stats and things, has a solid science stats and hull and stuff for very strong DPS science vessel build. Alongside that, you have a console on it called Causal Anchor, which gives you exotic damage, more crit chance off exotic damage, which is cool. Plus, it spawns temporal anomalies too. They go toward each other, which it has some pretty cool effects. Alongside that, the Temporal Dreadnought Cruiser has a trait called Exotic Modulation, which I featured on this channel before, which gives you bonus exotic damage when you use temporal operative abilities. Which, 31st Century Temporal Ship Bundle, temporal means they all have temporal abilities. So it's going to be able to have that. Combined with that, you can add on the Dreadnought Cruiser's console, which is the Chronotachyon capacitor. I'm actually surprised that I forgot to include this in my taunt list, in my strongest consoles list a little while ago. The stats are kind of okay, but this is basically an AoE taunt. That's what it basically is. It's a 15-second taunt, along with 15 seconds afterwards that you do a lot of extra damage. So that you can potentially keep the enemies on you for 30 seconds straight. Which ideally by that point, your allies would have killed them by that point. So it's actually a very good console. It's very limiting in terms of what you can use it on, which means, in my opinion, you should be pairing these two together to get 10% direct energy damage and 3% maximum whole hit points. Frankly, in my opinion, this is what you should be doing, or just use this guy on the Temporal Science Vessel if you want to be a science tank inside the game. Alongside that, and I will say this is a closing thing, the Temporal Raider is still a solid escort as well. Not only that, but it also has a battle cloak on it. My number 2 spot for the Cardassian escort only had a cloak. The Temporal Raider has a battle cloak. So Federation players can have access to an escort that has a built-in battle cloak in it, which is very rare for them. They don't experience it that too often. Alongside that, for those of you captains that really want to use a tier 6 Lucari science raider, well, scout ship, but it's basically a science raider, and don't have access to that colony, don't want to get the tier 5U version off of the exchange, this is the closest thing off of the C-Store that you basically have to a science raider in the game as well. So combined with all that, it's a very strong science vessel, it's an okay dreadnought, and a good raider. In my opinion, for your value, the 6,000 Zen Temporal Ship Bundle is the best one of them all inside the game for all playstyles. But that's just me personally. Hopefully this video has been a little bit valuable to you all. Sorry that I had to postpone the science weapons video to Sunday, but I honestly forgot about Black Friday, and I needed to have a video talking about that. So feel free to like and subscribe if you like this video. Feel free to include comments as well of other stuff that you feel that I neglected and should have put in here. But anyway, thank you all for watching, and enjoy the rest of your day.